Yo, did you add Super Catchup? Not yet. I will. I know you guys are mostly here for just Battle Cats, but it's really funny. The last like 3 streams when I played Gata Roboto for 2 streams, and then I played Super Catchup, and there's like no first-time chatters at all. By the way, I might actually make a highlight for Super Catchup. Bellcats is the only successful content. Yeah, but I want to have fun. I don't care if you guys don't care about non-Battle Cats content. I want to do it because I think it's fun. And like Super Catchup was a great experience, and we even like if you missed the Super Catchup stream yesterday, we had the game dev in the chat of Super Catchup, and that was a fun experience. That was great. I kind of do want to return on returner mode, mainly because look, I'm at Primitive Souls, but I haven't done it because I'm planning to do it on stream. But like I really want to continue UL. My plan is for now 11.8 discussion, but before that I want to roll. I do have 6,000 cat food, which means that I can roll 4 times. So I might roll 20 times on Summer Girls, and I might roll 20 times on Dynamites. That might be the plan here. For Gals of Summer, obviously, my main target is Ku. But I would also be down with Summer Luga. I do want to save up for Mola Mola. I also have tickets for Mola Mola, just in case, or something like that. But yeah, I do want to get Mola Mola, honestly. Let's do it. Let's roll on Summer Gals first. Oh, it's Crispy. Little crispy guys, little crispy dude. Oh, Kaguya of the Coast. That's not bad, but I'm also I'm done with Aku realms, so that's okay. I have other anti-Akus, but that's okay. Let's see, which Kaguya of the Coast again. Oh, Shopping Kalissa. I can unban Shopping Kalissa and keep Kalissa banned. Wheel of Volta, wait, Shopping Kalissa again. Oh, I didn't get Summer Ku. I really want Summer Ku, but I also want Tengu. I want Tengu, and I want Cat Machine, or Cat Clan, or Nurse, or Satoru. A lot of in the Dynamites would also be great, but Last Boss for reviews. No, I think people consider Last Boss pretty strong now. Like back then, people would consider Last Boss a little bit weird, but I think Last Boss is at least pretty respectable and have its name for itself quite a lot now. I'll roll Dynamites once. I'll roll Dynamites once first. I would love to get Mola Mola. Oh shit, Power Saw. That's a good thing I haven't done Puff Sleep, because this means this is going to be a much easier time on Puff Sleep. Thank God for Miller Saw. Holy shit. Oh, Last of Us. Oh god, I don't know about this. I really want Summer Ku. Fuck it. Let's roll this. Lincoln, Juliet, Gunslinger. Summer Luga! I'll take it! That's it ain't Summer Ku, but I'll take it. I'll do it now. Let's go, Fabulous Pasalan. You get the color now. You even get the pink sandals. That's cute. So yeah, that's it. Okay, there we go. 11.8 JP summary. Let's go over all of the changes first. New UL and UL Crown as usual. New Infernal Tower floors. This is definitely one of the biggest shit that is going on in this update. User rec rewards. I don't care. Added the screen shake effect. This is really weird, but oh well. It exists. Basically, now that if your cat base takes damage, your screen will shake a little bit, which is a little bit annoying, honestly. Not really a lot of people like this. A lot of people have very mixed opinion about the screen shake effects. Mainly negative. Not a lot of people like this. I don't think it can be disabled for now. It helps with the no sound effects player, maybe, but yeah. It's a little bit annoying, but it's not mega annoying, but it is a little bit annoying, so yeah. And the 3x speed power-up exclusive for Gold Pass. This is kind of funny. So, you know, this Gold Pass, if you buy the Battle Cats Officers Club, the Gold Pass, the premium whatever thing, you know, the first one is free, right? By the way, if you haven't claimed your free Gold Pass, you should claim your free Gold Pass. But here it says that next renewal, endless speed up, which is basically that every time you actually buy the paid version of the Officers Club, you can use speed up without actually using up speed up, so you get infinite speed up. But now there's a new feature where, so if you press the speed up button again when you have the Gold Pass, it'll turn purple, which is basically showing that this is going to be a 3x speed up, which is about what you expect. It's a 3x speed up. It's a speed up that goes, instead of 2x, it goes into 3x. But this will consume your speed power up, so I guess this is mainly for people who have Officers Club and have speed up still lying around and they want to to use the speed up anyways. So instead of going to waste, you can consume the speed up and it'll become a 3x speed up. So yeah, it is gold pass, but like honestly, out of almost all the paid contents that you can buy from battle cats, gold pass is pretty much the most worth it one in terms of like cat food gain, and also the fact that you can get the speed up. Next one, super feeling can be boosted to 40 plus to plus 40 if you reach 11,000 user rank, which is kind of a lot honestly, but oh well. Cat base can now be upgraded to level 30 for more HP. I don't really care about this one. Cat shrine level cap increase to 60. I don't think also anybody cares about this one. Oh right, this is kind of a bug, sorta. Empress Excavation 2 is definitely a bug, because other Empress Excavation does hide after clear, but Excavation 2 specifically doesn't. So this is, I'm pretty sure this is kind of a bug fix, where Empress Excavation 2 now is actually hidden from the map after you clear it, which by the way is a completely stupid feature. Why would you hide this? We literally already have an entire feature to hide stages that we already cleared. Why do we need this to be completely unplayable once we clear it? Which is, you know, the same thing with like Edie or Gigando and stuff like that. Why would you made it not playable after clear? Because I'm pretty sure Excavation 2 has pretty good stages. We already have a toggle to hide events that we already cleared. Why do you need to make this unplayable? I get that a lot of casual players aren't going to return to it, but still, why would you make it completely unplayable? It's so stupid. Okay, moving on. That's about all for the miscellaneous changes. Actually, there's another miscellaneous changes, which is it is a very interesting change in my opinion, and I think it is one of the coolest changes in this update, but we'll talk about it once we get into the stages. So gacha banners, Iron Legion and Fest updated to include new Uber. There's no new Fast Ubers. There's a new Iron Legion Uber though, which is a funny little UFO. New true form. Speaking of Infernal Tower floor, Infernal Tower floor goes up to 31 to 40. So naturally, we have a new true form for Yulala. Yulala now in true form gains a massive damage against relics, curse immunity, a huge HP buff, and also faster cooldown. Pretty similar treatment with Hermit, except that Hermit also gains the extra wave. Yulala, same with Hermit, also doesn't get damage boost. Soran Cat, this is the current monthly cat, right? Yeah, this is the current monthly cat. Has a true form. It doesn't have a awakening stage, unfortunately, unlike other monthly cats. It uses a behemoth stones, 20 red, 15 green, which is a lot, and 1 yellow behemoth, which is also kind of a lot. It gains Behemoth Slayer with 8% behemoth dodge instead of 5. We'll talk about this again later. Mystica, this is a Merc Story unit. It gains Aku target, 100% chance to slow, pretty good damage buff, and also reduced force swing and increased backswing. Does require Aku, Catfruit Seed, and a bunch of other stuff. Eyewaltz gains 100% chance of level 2 wave. Eyewaltz is a big winner here. We'll talk about Eyewaltz later, but this is a huge true form. Base Lilith, not the Summer Lilith. Base Lilith gets a true form, 52% HP buff, which is pretty big, and 100% chance of level 1 surge, which is also pretty damn good. We'll talk about this later. New cat combo, Lilith's true form has a solo cat combo, which is cat and recharge up. It's kind of funny, I guess. You can use it for like Holy Blast spamming or something like that. And then this. What the fuck is this? Obliterator Diabolosa, which is Siege Walker, if you don't know. Siege Walker, true form. Yeah, Diabolosa and Manic Flying Cat has attack up M. This is plus 15%, by the way. What the fuck? This is massive. You can combine this with other attack ups, which is, yeah, this is insane. This is massive. Yeah, and it's only 2 slots. Not only that, it's 2 slots of units that are pretty good. Like Diabolosa is already a really good unit. Manic Flying, it's very situational, but it's not the worst kind of unit, right? So having attack up M for 2 slot is massive. It's super good. New cat unit. There's a new Iron Legion, which we talked about earlier, which is the UFO. It's a multi-hit unit with LD on the first hit and 2 different Omni on the next 2 hits. It is a 50% chance to slow, but 3 times hit, so it's more like 80% chance to slow. And guaranteed curse versus black and zombie enemies. Curse versus black. The fuck is with Honos and curse versus black? They did this with Brainwash Cow. Why did they do it again? New eggs, and also, of course, their true forms. Ancient Egg N105. You get this from mission, from 25 unique Behemoth Calling Stage. Yeah, this is Tennis Cap. Tennis Cap. It's a spammable LD multi-hit knockback alien. Immune to slow and Behemoth Slayer. The true form for it doesn't require that much. 15 red, 15 purple, and also 1 yellow. It's not that much. It's pretty relatively cheap. Yellow Behemoth Stone is a little bit hard to get, but it's not too terribly hard to get. And then Ancient Egg N106. This is definitely the big boy of this update. This is Mr. Mushroom. There we go. The little guy. I'll give him legs actually. There we go. So fucking mushroom guy, the little mushroom dude, the little mushroom man. Obtainable from beating 30 unique behemoth calling stage. By the way, just for you guys to be clear, 30 unique means that you have to beat every single behemoth calling stage in this update. So this might be a little bit of like a mid-late game kind of unit. It's definitely not easy to get. The true form cost, the blue behemoth, green behemoth, and yellow behemoth, I feel like by the time you beat the 30 behemoth calling stage, you'll be able to get all of these materials already pretty easily. But beating the 30 behemoth stage, I feel like is the actual big hurdle here. It is a massive damage versus angel unit, and it is wave immune, and also behemoth slayer. Naturally, of course, it is made to counter the Rajakong. We'll talk about this more later. New enemy, since we do have new tower stages, that also means that we have new relic Yulala, which is basically just Yulala but with relic targeting and curse. There's a new behemoth, zombie behemoth, which is little Ant-Man. It's a zombie behemoth with 3-hit Omni Strike that expands outwards and is able to burrow and revive one time at 100% HP, immune to knockback, freeze, and weaken. And you might think it's like, well, why is it immune to knockback, freeze, and weaken? It's because it's a massive nuker that has a very long attack start off, so they don't want you to just like status effect the unit. So yeah, it's an ant. And this one, angel enemy with weaken and slow LD attack. You might wonder what this is. Let me get a picture of it. This is not a behemoth. This is a colossal. The little dude from Clonel now has its own separate enemy. So now we got this guy on board. Yeah, it's cute. It's cute, but it also the thing about this guy is that the orb on his chest looks really Photoshop. maybe it doesn't really look like it here, but on the animation it really does look Photoshop. Especially its arms. Actually, its arms also looks really Photoshop. Like, this does not look that good. It looks a little bit Photoshop, but oh well. But yeah, it's baby Clonel. We got baby Clonel now. These Tumbler mod enemies. Yeah, it is kind of a VCU kind of thing, but oh well, what can you do about it? It's cute, so it's forgiven. Baby Zonel when that would be pretty funny too. Yeah, I guess. So yeah, that's a new angel enemy. It's weakened and slow and LD attack. It is basically a mini Clonel. New stage, new UL. This little guy, this little dude, he appears right here. He appears right here in the new UL. This is probably why they want to introduce more anti-colossal enemies, so yeah. Other than that, new UL crowns, blah blah blah, whatever. New Infernal Tower floors, we'll get into this. There's 10 floors as usual, as you'd expect. New event and gauntlet maps, Aqua Infested XP farming stage, Behemoth Stone, Mercstoria, and a new gauntlet map that is unlimited drop of every orb of straight. Oh right, I don't think this is mentioned here. So a new gauntlet map that has unlimited drop of every orb of every trait stage, 21 stages. You might wonder what the fuck this is. This is literally just the Enigma stage for the orb stage. This is literally just that. It's the exact same stage. So you might wonder what the fuck is the deal with this. It doesn't mention it here, but I'll put it here. Isle of the Map Lord. If you don't know what Isle of the Map Lord is, it's the 3 stages that you can play, where if you play the stage, you get an Enigma specifically for orb stages. This is gone in 11.8. It is not gone in the sense where it's removed from the game. It is gone in a sense where it is not available to play after 11.8, basically. So Isle of the Map Lord, if I'm not mistaken, in the game data, it is basically set to only appear in the game after 11.7.99, basically. So now that we're on 11.8, this doesn't appear anymore. So if you want to get the 30 cat food, yeah, if you want to get 30 cat food and leadership from Isle of the Map Lord, now's your chance. Do it now, because this update will appear in like 2 or 3 days, probably. So yeah, Isle of the Map Lord will be gone in 11.8, and it'll be replaced with the new gauntlet map. There is also another thing. No, you know what? I'll do it now. Okay, so there is a very interesting change. Let me take an example stage. This is one of the new stage in the new UL. There is something here which Polos has never done before, which is this. Take note of the Aki spawn. Can you guys take a guess on what this is? What is this that's so unique about this Aki spawn? It's kind of surprising, the fact that Polos has never actually done this before. I feel like this is immensely overdue. Normally, almost every time in Battle Cat so far, a unit that spawns on base hit, they'll only be held back by enemy priority, but naturally they would spawn instantly. There has never been a case where an enemy will spawn at a certain timer after the base is hit. This is the first time that this has happened on 11.8. There's a lot of other stages that are like this on 11.8, but 11.8 is the first time that actually implements this, which is that on 99% base HP, Aki will spawn after 11,000 frame, but the timer will only go down after the 99% base HP. It's very weird, the fact that Ponos has never done this before, right? So yeah, another new thing in this update. This is the 10th stage of Forest of Gapra. There's this Raging Gory. You see this? The spawn trigger is that it will appear after 60 unit deaths and 120 unit deaths. So this is also an entirely new feature where an enemy will only spawn after a certain amount of unit deaths. Unit is cat unit. This is specifically cat unit. It'll try to spawn as soon as possible. It will only activate after 60 of your cat unit dies. It doesn't count if the unit suicides. Survive lethal, it also won't count until the survive lethal actually dies. It only will count once the cat unit HP reaches 0, which also means that it won't count the soul animation. In a sense, you might say it's like, oh, it's punishing people for those who dies, but on the other hand, you can also think of it on another way, where it can be used to help you. If you have a lot of unit deaths, then it'll spawn shitty enemies that like takes up the enemy priority, or maybe, you know, things like dark dojos that gives you money and stuff like that. Because like Raging Gore isn't like really a hard enemy to beat, right? This is currently the only stage that has this implemented. And currently, as you see here, you see the spawn pattern, it says 0 frames. This would mean that once 60 unit dies, this timer begins. So if this is not 0 frames, so let's just say for example this is like 300 frames, which is 10 seconds. This means that after 60 unit deaths, a 10-second timer will occur, and after 10 seconds, this unit will appear. That's basically how it works. And I think this could make pretty interesting gimmick stages, or just pretty interesting design in general. I think this is probably one of the most interesting stuff in this update, honestly. But I think like having these would just create a whole new plethora of type of stages in the future, and I think it's just generally really neat to think about. So yeah, we got that out of the way. Let's actually move on to the details of the updates. No, actually, yeah, we'll talk about the new true forms first. Actually, I think we'll save Mystic Yulala after we talk about the Infernal Tower floors. Let's talk about Soran Cat first. So let's talk about new true form. This is our first new true form. It's Soran Cat. It requires Behemoth Stones. It also requires Yellow One for some reason. It's not really good. The HP doesn't really change that much. The base health does change from 150 to 200, but on level 30, that means the HP is still 3,400. It does not really fucking matter whatsoever. It won't really survive much hits at all. There is the Behemoth Dodge for 8%, which is like, I guess you can say it's like if a stage has Behemoths on it, you can use this in place of Mohawk Cat, but still, it's not really that great. If you have spare Behemoth Stones, sure. It's not exactly useless. It's just not exactly the most worth it use for Behemoth Stones. So yeah, more Behemoth DPS. Yeah, dude, the fucking 200 damage. Next one, Mystica. Base attack increased. Force swing is better. Slow chance. Now it has slow, and it has target Aku, and the backswing is slightly increased. But otherwise, I'm pretty sure the DPS is better. Mystica is think about it as like a Luga, where it has 690 range. Nice, by the way, 69. But it has a pretty decent respawn, actually. 1,200 second respawns is not too bad for something that has 700 range. It does have 3 knockback counts, so it can reposition itself, and it doesn't have LD, so it doesn't really have the problem of like missing stuff. But the HP is pretty low, so it might not be able to survive that long, but it's still workable enough. The DPS, even though you might say it's like, oh, it's 2,000 DPS, whatever. I think like 2,000 DPS on like nearly 700 range is actually pretty good. Oh yeah, it's a strong versus black previously. Now it's strong and slow versus black. It does have better damage against black and Aku, which is 1.8 times for black and 1.5 times for Aku. 3.6k DPS for black. It's 3k DPS versus Aku, which isn't too bad considering that its range is 690. It does have a 100% chance of slow for 5 seconds against black and Aku, which is pretty good. It doesn't have Aku Shield Breaker, but again, 690 range, I think it's going to be pretty good. However, other than Mystica, another one that also gains the true form from Mercstoria is Eye Waltz, and Eye Waltz is huge. This is a big winner in this update. If you have Eye Waltz, you definitely want to true form him as soon as possible. True form Eye Waltz, force swing is slightly longer, and now it has level 2 wave. The Cratford requirement is pretty cheap. 3 green, 3 red, 6 epics. Yeah, sure, okay, 6 epics is a little bit a lot, but still, it has level 2 wave. It has 360 range, by the way. And the DPS is pretty big. Like, this is not a joke DPS. This is 5,000 DPS. It's really big. It's not bad at all. It's kind of comparable with Cats in the Cradle. Cats in the Cradle have similar DPS, it's 5900 DPS. It's definitely bigger than Eyewalls, but Eyewalls has 360 range. Cradle has 240. This is a range unit with very big DPS and level 2 wave. It's 100% chance, by the way. It's 100% chance of wave. It's basically Cradle but with range. It's pretty damn good. Usually the problem with Cradle is that the attack animation is too long. The attack start off for Cradle is 2 seconds. This guy's attack start off is 35, so it won't really miss that often, and it has pretty good range with very similar DPS with Cradle. It's so good. It's really good. Okay, use him to chip Aros? What do you mean chip Aros? It's going to kill Aros. It's not going to just chip Aros. And it's also wave immune. Yeah, it also has to survive lethal. And since it's a ranged unit, it's not exactly the kind of survive lethal where you just poop survive lethal and then it dies. No, it's a ranged unit, which means that survive lethal can actually come in handy. And that's pretty solid HP too, and 3 knockback count. And the respawn is 100 seconds, which is fast. This is a very, very good true form. Oh yeah, it has Savage Blow. I completely forgot about this. Yeah, it has Savage Blow, which means that the DPS more or less would be like, so it has nearly around like 7k DPS. The damage is 25k, which means that if this is Savage Blow, which is times 3, 76.5k damage per hit if the Savage Blow hits with fucking level 2 wave. So not only that the frontline enemy would get like around 150k damage to the face, the ones in the back would also get 76.5k damage. Fucking massive. Level 30, by the way. Yeah, this is level 30. So yeah, if you have this guy, if you have Eyewalls, fucking congratulations, because this guy is really, really fucking good. Is he on par with Juvens? I think Juvens is a completely different kind of unit. Juvens is a tank. This guy's a damager. This guy will nuke the shit out of everything that it outranges. I think this guy is going to be much more valuable than Juvens, because Juvens is an angel specialist. This guy just destroys everything. Yeah, and it's also immune to wave, and yeah, it's so good. It's fucking insane. Next up is Lilin. This one is an interesting one. Is Lilin actually good now? It's actually pretty good now. It is arguably one of the strongest anti-Aku shield breaker now because of what it does. So her true form gives her a little buff here and there. For one, the change from evolve, the base health is times 1.5. You see, the HP here is pretty decent. It's not Omega tanky, but it's still pretty decent, especially for someone with 84 seconds cooldown. And now it has Surge. You can see the Surge range is kind of whack. It's from 150 to 950, which is kind of a big range, right? But considering that it's 100% chance of Surge with a relatively decent attack frequency, and it also pierces Aku shield guaranteed, means that everything that the Surge hits will have the shield broken. This is huge for anything that has pretty big range shield. Anything from like the Fallen Bear or the Aku phase or even like Empress. Stuffs like that that usually like hides behind enemies that might be a little bit hard to get their shield broken. She can just snipe it away from the Surge. Yes, the Surge is RNG, but the Surge is 100% and the attack frequency isn't too bad. There's a very good chance that whatever it is that you're trying to snipe, it'll eventually break. And usually one break is all you need to heavily cripple an Aku enemy. It is a little bit of a slot machine, but Surge is also a kind of thing where an enemy can like walk into the Surge. It's still pretty good. It's still pretty damn good. It doesn't really retain a role as an attacker. The DPS is still kind of low and all that stuff. It does have strong still, but still, her DPS is never really what she's all about. She's always mainly about the Aku shield break, and now she's probably one of the strongest like Aku shield break in terms of like sniping long range Aku enemies. So yeah, very good. The true form requirement is Epic Cat Fruit Seed and Aku Cat Fruit. Yes, Epic Cat Fruit Seed is a little bit hard to get and yada yada yada, but you know, whatever. It's still a pretty good stuff. The strong also does help against like against tanking down Aku enemies, but usually won't really tank down Aku enemies that much. It's mainly for survivability. But yeah, overall, pretty good true form. Not exactly a game-breaking Uber or whatever, but it is now a unit that has a proper usage, I would say. When she first came out, I think she was one of the only shield breaker in the game, so you don't really have much other choice than Lilin. But now that we have more and more Aku shield breaker, her role starts to get taken up here and there, right? So yeah. Alright, yeah, and she also has the cat combo too. I did talk about that earlier. That's all for the new true form. Let's talk about the new units. First, let's talk about the new Iron Legion. Shuyu performing Out's Carousel or Surprise Mysterious Light Evans. The first form attacks by basically like just spinning forward. That's basically it. Look at that. There's just a guy dressed in a fucking cow costume. This fucking guy, literally just a cow costume, and the shirt is just flying off. It's so funny. And of course there's a fucking chef right next to it. Yeah, the idle animation is just like spinning around. That's also its moving animation. But the attack animation, the cow just moves forward, goes bye-bye, okay. It goes toasted, and it goes back up again. It's really cute. It's really funny. There we go. So as you see from earlier, it is actually a 3-hit multi-hit, but it is really, it doesn't seem like it's a 3-hit multi-hit, right? But it is because the attack timing is really close to each other. It's 85, 89, 93 frames. It's really close to each other. All of them deals the same amount of damage, but the range is a little bit different from each time. The first range is 1 to 401, and then 35 to 435, and 70 to 470. So it expands a little bit. However, if you've watched Jones' review on it, it is kind of whack, where attack animation wise it makes sense, but the thing is every unit has basically what is essentially a natural Omni Strike. Naturally, if you don't have an Omni Strike on you, every unit would still hit from 0 to minus 320. That's basically like their hitbox. However, this guy doesn't actually hit to minus 320. As the farthest it goes is to minus 70. It technically has a blind spot from minus 70 to minus 320. So a zombie can burrow between minus 70 to minus 320 and it won't be able to hit the zombie. Yes, it will hurt the unit. But if something gets in the blind spot, does it just not move and not attack and just die? It will attempt to attack. It will try to attack, but it won't be able to hit. That's basically what will happen. The enemy will be able to hit them, but will be able to start the attack, won't be able to land the attack. It is more of an LD than it is an Omni Strike. You see that has quite a lot of ability. It is immune to Toxic, it's a Colossus Slayer, it is a zombie killer, it's a target zombie. Once again, they made another counter for Big Fang Z. Big Fang Z, if you don't know, this guy has massive Omni Strike, and he the main thing is that he does Toxic, pretty low damage but really big Toxic. So yeah, the main thing is that him having immune to Toxic, Colossus Slayer, zombie killer, and also slow against zombies and curse against zombies, so that to be able to shut down the Toxic from Big Fang Z. Yeah, it's a Big Fang Z counter essentially. They just really hate Big Fang Z for some reason. Yeah, it's unfortunately not really a good unit in general. The HP is pretty good, but every Iron Legion HP is pretty good. The respawn is meh. The knockback count is pretty alright. The cost is alright. The attack frequency is what you would expect from Iron Legion, but the DPS is pretty low, especially with standing range at 400, which is not really the best standing range at all. It cannot have any extra damage whatsoever against its straight targeting, which is Black and Zombie. So its main use is just for slow and curse. And once again, Ponos, why the fuck did you give curse against Black? We already had this for Brainwash Cow. Why did we do this again? Why do we have another target Black curse? What the fuck? The main usage for this guy is just the slow. The curse is kind of whack. Curse of the Zombie does work against certain zombies. There are several zombies that he actually can curse, like Dabu or whatever, or Big Fang Z. Other than that, the slow is 50%, but it is 3 times multi-hit, which means that if all 3 hits hit, it is about like 87.5% chance, I think, of slow, which is not bad. His 4-second slow is pretty good, but Black enemies gets knocked back easily, which means that the multi-hit might not even land on all of them. So it's not really good. Jones made a review for this guy, and I think Jones' review describes his problem quite well. Mainly about his multi-hit against versus Black, his low being kind of just alright. It's not the craziest, it's pretty good, but that's about it. And his DPS being mediocre, his standing range being mediocre, and his range having basically a blind spot. So yeah, if you want a better explanation or a more full explanation, I think Jones have more footage on this guy. You probably should check Jones' stuff out. That's the new Iron Legion. Unfortunately, we'll probably have to wait for the true form to come out to actually get a better review for this guy. Right, let's talk about eggers. There's 2 new eggs, and they're both actually pretty good. For once, this is actually an update where there's no like 1 crazy good egg and 2 useless eggs or whatever. These are like 2 actually pretty competent egg. So let's talk about the first egg, N105. So tennis cat. This is a anti-alien, of course, which was you'd expect from the color of the egg. It is only an anti-alien. It doesn't have any other targeting. It is a multi-hit knockback unit. So it is an area LD unit with 30% chance of knockback, and of course Behemoth Slayer and Behemoth Dodge. It is immune to slow, and the cat word requirement is 15 purple, 15 red, and 1 yellow, which is not too bad to get, especially considering that to get tennis, after you beat 25 Behemoth Calling Stage, you'll get the egg, and then you'll be able to true form it using the Behemoth Stones that you get. Knockback alien. That means Miss Lee syndrome. Terrible unit. Garbage. Before you go all like, yeah, knockback bad. Usually knockback is bad, but a knockback LD units are usually pretty good. It's a 2-hit multi-hit with 30% chance of knockback, 51% chance if the 2-hit multi-hit both connects. It's very cheap. The attack frequency is also pretty good. It's only like under 3 seconds, which means that it will attack quite a lot. DPS doesn't matter, HP is whatever. Speed is also pretty good. It might be able to even like enter some LD enemies. And the standing range is 300, which means that it's relatively stackable. It's not the safest range around, but it is good enough to be able to keep itself safe from like melee enemies harm, basically. The LD, unfortunately the first LD doesn't really have that much pierce. The first LD is only 200 through 350. It would still be nice to just knock them back to the second multi-hit, which is at 225 to 425. This is where the LD actually starts to push a little bit farther. And this is also where several backliner aliens start to actually get hit. So unfortunately, this 51% isn't exactly consistent in a way, because if you're trying to snipe something with it, there's a very good chance that, well, not very good chance, it depends on the enemies. There's still a relatively good chance that your target enemy would only stand on the second hit, which means that the first hit would not land, and that means that the knockback chance would still be 30%. That being said, again, attack frequency is still pretty good, the cost is pretty good, and the respawn is good, and with 300 standing range, it can be relatively stackable, and you won't really waste much money with it. So you can have several tennis cats on the field, and you can absolutely just like keep on knocking some alien enemies back. A lot of rare units usually have like 6,000 HP or something like that. Having 4,000 HP is actually not too bad. You can survive several hits here and there, especially with the Behemoth Slayer too. Okay, so these are some alien enemies with their range. Their range are on the rightmost. It goes to 425, so it can hit everything on here on the left, but everything on the right tennis won't be able to hit. Yeah, it doesn't usually knock back like super big range enemies, things like Project A or Calamari or Slot. It won't be able to hit it, at least it won't be able to hit it safely. So what I mean by that is that since Tennis Cat is a spammable unit, it is very much possible for you to simply just have Tennis Cat run in, try to knock back the enemies in the right, and then die. And sometimes that's all you need. Sometimes that's all you need to help. You can even just use him to like perma knockback or perma stun stuff like Sunfish or Lionel or stuff like that. Or even you might be able to use it for Queen Bee. I don't fucking know. I never tried this before, but I feel like theoretically it should be able to enter Queen Bee's LD and might be able to do some crazy shenanigans with it. It can still ruin the day of stuffs on the left. Things like you can, I forgot what your name is. The mole, you can knock back the mole. You can use it to snipe Ursa Major down, for example, if you want to fight like Egg Nebula, and then, you know, other mid-rangers, stuff like these guys that also appears relatively often. It's definitely more of a utility kind of unit where you won't use it on like a bunch of alien stages or whatever. No, I think he's good in a way where he has a niche, he works well at it, and that's about it. Like, he's not an immensely must-have unit to have on alien enemies or whatever. He's a utility unit, and he works well at where his utility stands for. Of course, his main counter, he is built to supposedly counter Crustaceous, Scissor X. Ironically, this guy is way better at counting Scissor X than Tarzan. If you try to like rush down Scissor X, you might not want to use Tennis Cat, but if you want to play a little bit safe, Tennis Cat is definitely the way to go. Him having better HP against Scissor X too, and also the slow immune too, he has slow immune, means that he can just bully the fuck out of Scissor X Scissorx and make Scissorx safe, essentially. Because Scissorx can push a crazy a lot, and now you can push Scissorx back with your tennis. Yeah, I won't kill it fast, but I won't lose against Scissorx. Tarzan is better when you can rush Scissorx. When you can rush Scissorx, fucking use Chill Cat. I have bad opinions against Tarzan. I do not like Tarzan Cat. Didn't you use him in your Returner mode stream? Yeah, like once. Against like God Cat. and with like Courier on hand that like carries everything. This is the final egg of 11.8. This is the first yellow egg that we have, I believe. Egg N106 or Mushroom Cap. This is our first ever yellow egg, which is our anti-angel. And this is a yellow egg, which means that it is anti-angel. This is our first ever anti-angel egg. Mushroom delicious. Mushrooms are pretty fucking delicious, honestly. First of all, he is strong as fuck. His HP is okay. It's relatively okay. His knockback is okay. His damage is pretty good. His attack frequency is pretty good. His cost is really good. His respawn is really good. His speed is pretty good. His range is pretty good. His DPS is alright, but he has massive damage against Angel, Behemoth Slayer, and Behemoth Dodge, of course, and immune to Wave. Catwork requirement is quite a lot. 13 blue, 13 green, and also 1 yellow Behemoth Stone, but this guy also requires 30 Behemoth Culling Stages to beat. So you need 30, after you beat 30 Behemoth Culling Stages, you'll be able to get the egg, and then you'll be able to true form it with the stones. Massive damage against Angel means that 7.2k DPS, 9.6k DPS if you have the Angel Treasures. Pretty fucking good, especially remember, this is 1 at level 30. You can stack this guy. This guy has 290 range with 660 cost and 10 seconds respawn. You can definitely stack this guy, and it has nearly 10k DPS against angels. Sure, more or less the only relevant angels that it counters is Angelic Hippo and Angelic Gory, and also the Beast Behemoth Angelic Gory. But that's still huge because Angelic Gory is a massive threat usually. Having a unit that has 10k DPS against Angelic Gory, like that alone already makes him a really good unit and really solid. And again, he has Behemoth Slayer against Rajakong. This guy has 24k DPS. Level 30, by the way. This is level 30. Yeah, pretty fucking deadly. Against generic Behemoth, he has 6k DPS, which isn't too bad. I mean, it's pretty good, but most of the time, Behemoth enemies are like boss enemies. Other than Rajakong, his only other anti-Behemoth enemy is like Wild Doge. That's about it. Other than that, he's not really usable against the other Behemoth. Considering that he has Wave Immune, which is also used for Rajakong because Rajakong can do level 2 Wave, a spammable unit with 2.5k DPS with wave immunity and has range is pretty fucking good. As a wave immune unit, one of the best like 4-star wave immune unit that is currently known is Dancer Cat, right? So this is Dancer Cat at level 30. Yes, usually you don't really use level 30 Dancer, but just for comparison's sake, because the Mushroom is also at level 30. Dancer has 5200 DPS with 330 range. This guy has 290 range with 2.5k DPS. But this guy is stackable and spammable. Meanwhile, Dancer has pretty much double the cooldown and much higher cost and way less survivability because of the 1 knockback count. This guy has 3 knockback count. This is basically Dancer with like half stats but half cooldown. And yes, with less range, but also with better survivability than Dancer. It's actually a competent wave immune unit. Not only that it's a really good anti-angel, it's a really good wave immune unit. Can I use him to beat Wing Piggy? No. Unfortunately, no. His main counter is basically just Angelic Gory. 4-star Berserker shaking in his boots. Yeah, it's actually a pretty good anti-wave unit. You can definitely use this for 4-star wave stages, or even like outside of 4-star wave stages. I think he would still be a solid wave immune unit. No longer you would need Musashi. So yeah, not only is it a good anti-angel, it's also a good anti-wave unit. So if you can do Behemoth Calling Stages, for sure get him as soon as possible, because this guy is going to be a great unit in your arsenal. New floor 30 unit? I think so, yeah. I think this would be a good floor 30 unit. Also, he counters Yukan. Oh yeah, because of the wave. Yeah, you're right, yeah. Yeah, Yukan has 240 range. This guy has 290 range, and he's wave immune. Mushroom guy. He's quite a fun guy, and definitely one of the strongest egg now, which is kind of funny considering the last egg that we get that is strong is Courier Cat. Musashi is retired at this point. Yeah. So let's talk about the... Okay, Relic Yulala, we'll save it after we talk about Infernal Tower floors. So let's talk about the new 2 enemies, which is the Ant and Baby Lionel, real quick, because they were talking about ants. I gotta show this video real quick. Here we are. Ants. 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 Every time I think about ants, I always think about that fucking video. So this is super explosive Aryan. There it is. This is the new ant. Just look at this fucking huge ass butt. So it turns around. Boom. There we go. Damn boy, he took. Will you eat Taco Bell? Yeah, he got the dump truck basically. Has a 75,000 HP, 1 knockback count, and fucking gigantic ass damage. This guy does like 135k damage. Spread from multi-hit. Personally, in my opinion, this is a cowardly move from Ponos. Ponos, just fucking release the 135k damage per hit. You know you want to. Fucking, I'm sorry for my language. This is a pussy ass move. I know you're trying to like balance it out or whatever. No, fucking release it all. Release it all. It's 135k damage. Just fucking burst it out. Technically, since minus 130 to 130 is like very small. Like this doesn't even hit Mohawk, by the way. Chances are the ones that are going to get hit are mainly the next 2 hit. Unless it like immediately straight up burrows right inside of your unit, then there's a very good chance that this won't actually hit at all. So mainly it's just the last 2, but still. Basically, this is kind of a Big Sal or Jimmy situation where essentially you'd want to kill it immediately. As you see it from the attack animation earlier, it also does like charge up a little bit. The attack frequency is also really long, so you have plenty of time to actually kill the guy. It is immune to knockback, freeze, and weaken, so you can't just like cat jobs it, and you can't just use Gardener or you can't just use welterweight to keep on knocking the animation back. No, you can't do that. You can still use like sniper power up to flinch it a little bit. It is not immune to wave, so you can also use cat cannon to cancel it a little bit. But other than that, yeah, basically this is basically a ticking time bomb where you have to kill the guy as soon as possible. The HP isn't too bad, but this is only 100% to be fair. It could spawn at a way higher percentage later in the future. So yeah, the speed is also 3.5. Really? I didn't know this actually. But yeah, the speed is also isn't too crazy. It burrows one for 500 range and revives once with 100% HP. So if you do kill it, you do need to remember that it can revive if you don't kill it, and you need to kill it again. Next up is Baby Lionel. You probably already expected what the attack animation is. It's literally just normal Lionel stuff. Yeah, I don't know why it's making that face though, because I'm pretty sure the normal Baby Lionel would usually smile. Oh, I just realized the name is Daitenshi Chibineru. That's so cute. Yeah, this is a Colossus enemy. Woo. Oh yeah, I forgot to say. This is Behemoth. I completely skipped that part. This is a Behemoth. It may not really look like it, but it's a Behemoth. So yes, you can use courier and shit. No, we do not have a zombie egg. I completely forgot about that. Okay, moving on. New Lionel. This guy is a Colossus. It's an LD enemy with 350 standing range, 300 to 600. It's slow, similar to Lionel, and also guaranteed weaken. Attack frequency is 5 seconds. It's not instant like Lionel, so it does have a little bit of a cooldown on it. The range is like, I think it's going to be pretty hard to try to enter its standing range. And once again, it is Colossus, so it is possible for you to use your anti-Colossus unit. It is basically a support peon. Oh, in a way, it's kind of like tacky, but instead of damage, it's more to ability. It's 200% UL, so it is 9,000 damage, which again, isn't massive. You get it. If you're in UL, you'll understand what 9,000 damage do. It's not crazy nuke or whatever, but it can still ruin stuff here and there. So that's all for the new enemies. New stages, I'm not really gonna talk much about it. New UL crowns, I don't really care. Infernal Tower, I'm gonna talk about it last. Event and Gauntlet map. Behemoth Stone farming stage, I'm gonna skip it. Aku infested XP farming stage. This one is kind of interesting. So we have a new XP stage, and it's not a black focus stage. It's an Aku focus stage. There's 3 stages, but I'm just going to grab the last stage to get a taste of what this stage is like. This is an XP stage. The base XP is pretty good. If I'm not mistaken, this is comparable to Merciless XP. The base XP drop that you get from Merciless XP is 140k. This one is 196. So overall, it's about 1.5 times better than Merciless XP. It does have the extra XP drop as well. In here, there's a 10% chance of getting 3 million XP, but I'm not really sure if you can radar this. You might be able to. I'm not really sure if anyone has confirmed this one. The bonus XP drop that you get is also pretty good. So yeah, there's quite a lot of shit right here. These are all timer, by the way. These are all timer enemies. There's a bunch of Midnight Ds, there's a bunch of Aku Goris, and there's 2 Fallen Bears. It's pretty basic in a sense. Normally, if you have an anti-Aku Uber, it shouldn't be that much of a problem. But if you don't have an anti-Aku Uber, this can actually be a problem, especially with like 5 Midnight Ds. Generally, it's just a better option. If you can do it, then yeah, you might have that interest on you. Other than that, Merc Storia stage, Aku Investor stage, Bahamut stage, a new gauntlet. Okay, yeah, I did talk about this earlier, but essentially this is a new Baron stage, except that it's literally every orb map at once. Like, this is the first stage, and I don't think the gauntlet map has a cooldown, by the way. It's literally just a basic orb map. It goes basically like the inferior red, inferior floating, inferior black, inferior angel, inferior alien, inferior zombie, inferior metal, and it goes to silver red, silver floating, blah 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 blah, and then the gold red, gold floating, blah 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 blah. That's literally all it is. It's all orb stages, but in one map. This is the final map. The final map is just the golden metal orb stage. That's it. That's it. You basically are just able to do this, to farm all of this by yourself without having to do Isle of the Map Lord. But remember, so you know how normally Enigma stage, if you do Isle of the Map Lord once, which is 200 energy, and then you do the Enigma map, which is 100 energy, in total you would have 300 energy spent. And because of that, they thought about this, and the energy for every one of these are also 300. They knew. They thought about this. They know that they need to make the energy 300 because it's 200 plus 100. So yeah. The energy cost is quite a lot. Yeah, that's about it. The only thing that is left is new Infernal Tower floor. Let's go! Wait, why is there a change in EOC? I just realized this. Why are there changes in EOC? What's the change here? It's just the moon on all EOC. Yeah, there's no fucking change. What? It also does it on Into the Future. Seems to affect a bunch of stuff actually. ED Invasion, Jagando Invasion, and some special bosses now have screen shake. Oh, okay. Okay, that's new. I didn't know that. That's interesting. Thank you for telling me. Big screen shake happens for the bosses in EOC. Okay, I see. I see. I never saw that, so that's interesting. So, Infernal Tower. Let's go. Go. Those are all new 10 stages into the Infernal Tower. First of all, 31. No longer Crazy Cat, it's now Manic Lion. No longer Crazy Cat, it's now Manic Mohawk. And now it has an old horde. It doesn't really change that much, especially if you have Oriel. No, not really a big deal, but yeah, okay. You basically just need stronger stuff. It's basically 31 on steroids, that's all. 32. Oh my god, why is there Sorel? Why is there Midnight D? Craze Tag becomes Manic Eraser, as you'd expect. There's no boss still. The stage width is still really small, but the main thing is that Midnight D is harder to knock back, and Sorel will destroy your erasers if you are not careful. 33. Everything from Craze into Manic, of course, as you'd expect. However, there's also 3 Zappies, not 2 Zappies. There's 3 Zappies and Zacky Pangs. Ironically, even though this sounds scarier, from what I heard that people play it, Zappy and Zacky Pang ends up being a cash source and ends up being relatively easier apparently. So yeah, if you're intimidated by Zappy, turns out it's not that scary. 34, Cosmic Cyclone becomes Super Cosmic Cyclones, and there's a bunch of Mist Devils now. I think people say this is way easier because Super Cosmic Cyclone is only 600%, which if you have all COTC treasures, this is actually really weak. From what I heard, 34 is also easier. 35 is essentially similar to Heavenly Tower 35. Manic Island is harder to kill though. Manic Island is harder to kill and there's Condemn Pang. However, the enemies are now limited, where in 35 Heavenly Tower, all of the enemies are infinite as far as I know. But now 35, despite being generally stronger, the enemies are now limited, so it is possible for you to just outlast the enemies and you would be fine. Other than that, you can still brute force 35 as usual if your units are strong enough. 36 is kind of funny because they add a completely new enemy here, which is Air Boss. Usually in Heavenly Tower 36, you would want to rush the enemy as soon as possible because also it's infinite, but in 36 the enemies are actually finite, so it is possible for you to outlast the enemy and you don't really need to actually rush down everything. You can just focus on killing the Amos and then you'll be able to chip down everything, and then they all will sooner or later run out of enemies. So it does kind of have a similar treatment with 35, where it kind of changes the idea a little bit, where instead of trying to rush it down, you can instead try to endure it a little bit and you'll be able to win. 37, if you're scared of Wicked Face, don't worry, this is literally just the start off. It spawns on 100% base HP. This replaces the Yanlam at the beginning. I think the main problem with 37 is that now it has Sinner Snake and Akugori, which can really ruin your Octopus Cat if you try to bring them. Sinner Snake especially can also ruin your meat shields, and Akugori is a big pusher. 6 is still pretty big amount for Akugori, and Sinner Snake is infinite, so I think this is one of the more troublesome stage, but if you have relatively strong units, it would still be fine. But generally, this is probably, I think, one of the scarier ones. 38, very stupid. You might see, oh my god, it's Aku Cyclone and Primeville Cyclone. What will I do? Primeville Cyclone appears 3200 frames. Takes a while, and Aku Cyclone at 100% isn't actually that tanky at all. If you bring Aku Researcher or Pied Piper, Aku Cyclone immediately dies. I've seen a lot of videos with relatively normal level where you just win the stage before Primeville Cyclone even spawns. It is very easy for you to just kill Aku Cyclone first and then deal with Primeville Cyclone alone. But if your units are strong enough, you can just straight up kill the base before Primeville Cyclone even appears. This stage is actually pretty easy. This stage actually feats. 39, I heard this one is actually relatively hard, or at least troublesome. It may not be like crazy hard, but I do heard it is troublesome. They replaced the mole with 3 red energies, and they replaced the slot with Puffington that spawns at 10 seconds. If you have Edie, Puffington, delete it. Very easy to deal with Puffington. If you have Edie, unfortunately, I do not. At least not in returner mode. That could spell problem for me. But if you have Edie, which you probably should at this point in the game, Puffington, immediately delete it. You can lure Puffington in, kill with Edie, and then you just need to deal with the rest. However, 3 red energy is still pretty scary because they keep on pushing. I do believe there is a specific rush strat with Courier. Just hope that you don't get pushed too much, or else Red Riding will snipe your base. And then 40, it's an ED chain stage. I'll just say that. I'll just say that. It's an ED chain stage, and they will try to stop you from ED chaining using Crocodinator and Mist Devil, because Mist Devil is a little bit hard to counter, but with specific timing and specific setups, you can definitely ED chain the fuck out of... Where's Yulala? Oh, wait, why is the enemy name not here? I'll put it here. This is Yulala. Oh, I forgot. I haven't shown the stats of Yulala, right? It has 3 million HP, and the knockback count is way lower. However, a pretty strong ED can still knock back the fuck out of Yulala. Once again, if you have ED, which... I don't, but you probably should. I wouldn't say Doron and ED makes it a joke. More like you're required to have ED at this point. I've seen... Okay, this is kind of a funny story, I guess. But like, when this stage came out, I looked in some servers and I noticed several people immediately going, oh, this stage is free! This stage is completely free with ED. I'll show you that I can beat the stage freely with ED. And then they came up with a winning screenshot maybe like 6 hours later. Like 6 or 5 hours later, they finally came up with a winning screenshot. And then they still claim the stage free. They still go like, yeah, the stage is free. You took like 6 hours to beat the stage. What do you mean it's free? What are you talking about? I'm sure once guides comes out and you can follow specific guides, I'm sure it's going to be way easier. But I wouldn't say straight out it's free. It's not the hardest thing in the world for sure. And you're basically required to have ED to make it not hair-pullingly hard. Again, I wouldn't hype it out to say it's like this is crazy hard or whatever, but I think this is okay. I think it could be harder, especially noting that how a lot of people at this point in time would probably already have Doron and ED and would already be able to chain ED down. But that is basically like the main idea of what you need to do in the stage. You would want to at least kill this guy within 2 ED chains, because if you don't kill this guy within 2 EDs, the enemies usually will overwhelm you and you'll die. Also, for some reason, I forgot to talk about this. This guy, the stage has Loki. If you don't remember, Loki is the relic phase. Yeah, he's in the stage. He spawns really late though, so yeah, that's mainly one of the reasons why you want to kill this guy within 2 EDs, because or else it's going to be hard to try to keep this guy around with Loki. His stats are basically almost the same. His range is still the same. His damage, I think, is the same. His speed is the same. His attack frequency is the same. Attack timing is the same. His warp is the same, but now he has curse. So yeah, and now for the last one that I haven't covered is Yulala's true form, Neko God Mask Urara. Oh my god. So new Yulala doesn't actually have changed much. I did talk about this earlier already, but yeah, basically health is times 1.5. It actually has pretty respectable health now. Respawn is way lower. It used to be 90 seconds and now it's 70 seconds. And now it's massive damage against Relic and also immune to Curse. I've heard a lot of people say it's like, oh, it's just slapsticks. Slapsticks is better. It has LD. You can't ignore the fact that it has LD. Also attacks fast. You can't ignore that. It's a pretty good range unit, basically to counter, not only just to counter like stuff like Amos, it also basically is able to deal with stuff like oncoming Sorels or oncoming Doges and stuff like that. That's one of his main niche. However, once again, I already talked about this also, but I think the cost could be lower. His DPS, it is times 3 against Relic, which is 12k DPS, which is pretty good for a ranged unit with LD. But with only like 350 standing range, he's still going to die relatively early. Yes, his HP is better, but he still only has 2 knockback counts. Yes, his respawn is better, but his cost I feel like it's a bit too much. I wish his cost is around 3k or something like that. Like, I feel like that would be a pretty good cost for Yulala. That's my only complaint against him though. Other than that, I think he's a pretty solid unit. He's a pretty solid anti-relic. Unfortunately, he doesn't really work that well still against outside of relics, where like stuff like Hermit gains like the extra wave. Unfortunately, Yulala only gains the extra health, which doesn't really matter too much when you only have 2 knockback counts, unfortunately. That's why I kind of wish his cost would go down so that he would be able to use outside of just relic. But for now, it is what it is. He's a relic counter, not the best, not the craziest true form, but he's usable now. I don't think he's as good as Hermit at all. I think Hermit has a massive buff, and Hermit is a huge winner in terms of true form, but I think Yulala is just okay. Oh yeah, considering the fact that he also has 2 knockback counts means that he can kind of like quote-unquote tank stuff, so he can sort of work in like Primitive Souls. That being said, by the time you beat Yulala, there's a very good chance that you already beat Primitive Souls, so... also remember, this is level 30, so you can buff him up to level 40. That's about all for 11.8. This is the Infernal Tower update, also known as the Mushroom update. Okay, that's about all for 11.8. Overall, a pretty good update. It's actually quite substantial, and especially with like the mechanic change and stuff like that, and you know, Infernal Tower especially being a very big part of 11.8. Other than that, also the good new mushroom, unfortunately shit UFO, and also dumb truck ant. Thank you for watching. Say bye to YouTube. Thank you for coming to the stream. I'll see you later. Bye bye.